the benefits of pumpkin since, you know, 'tis the season of fall and everything pumpkin. Fall's arrived again. 'Tis the season to a variety of crops that maybe you don't really see, like at the other pumpkin. A lot of the squashes are out, so butternut squash, spaghetti squash. There's so many different varieties of squash. I was just talking to a client the other day who got a honey nut squash from the farmer's market. So sometimes you don't necessarily know what to do with these things, especially maybe you didn't really realize all of the things that you could add pumpkin to. Sorry if you're entering the meeting, I'm just going to mute you just so that we don't pick up any background noise from anybody. So as basic as we are, you totally love everything pumpkin, or maybe you don't know anything about it. So, but also too, maybe you've never thought of the benefits of pumpkin. So pumpkins are edible. They're a type of winter squash that's packed with amazing nutrients that can then do your body good. So like all orange colored vegetables, carrots included, pumpkins are rich in protein. So that's a plant source of vitamin A. Vitamin A is an antioxidant. So antioxidants help your body ward off any various diseases by absorbing free radicals. So another food that's high in antioxidants is berries, if you've ever kind of like heard that. It can help kind of like help your body ward off diseases and sicknesses. So that's good in the time of COVID. Free radicals can easily do harm to the body when in excess. So eating an antioxidant-rich diet is a great way to help the body fight against diseases and also cancer too, different cancers. So in addition, pumpkins can help reduce blood pressure, which we know about, you know, all of our fiber-rich vegetables. They're also rich in potassium, which is a vital nutrient in maintaining the, maintaining the blood pressure levels. Just looking at the chat coming through here. Somebody said they didn't get the recipe. It's all the way at the beginning if you scroll back all the way to the beginning. And Secaucus, I actually know where that's at because my dad is from northern New Jersey. So I have another Jersey girl in here. But yeah, back to potassium. So pumpkins are also rich in potassium, reduce your blood pressure. When cooking with canned pumpkin, be mindful of the sodium content. So today I am cooking with canned pumpkin. To give you an idea, I actually did get my pumpkin from Trader Joe's, but I recently got this huge one because I've been using it so much. And every time I go to the store, instead of like buying multiple cans at a time, I just buy a couple of these big ones. So what you want to make sure is that it doesn't have any added sodium in like the canned pumpkin. If anybody knows this brand, this is a pretty popular one. I just got it from the local Acme. The only ingredient in here is pumpkin. So if you guys can see that, there's no salt added. There is 5 milligrams of sodium per serving, which isn't a lot. So that's not something that I need to worry about because I got 100% pure pumpkin with no preservatives. So this is actually a good one. What you would want to be careful of is I picked this up by accident because I grabbed 2 cans of it and I got the pumpkin pie mix instead of pure pumpkin because I wasn't paying attention. I just grabbed it. So this is a perfect example. My mess up is to your benefit. The ingredients are pumpkin, water, sugar, salt, spices, and natural flavors. So if you're going to be cooking with canned pumpkin, you don't want to use this one. There's just extra things that you're probably going to add in while you're cooking. So you're going to get sugar with anything that you're cooking it with. And then the sodium jumps from 5 in the other one to 110 milligrams. So this is quite a difference. This is also double the calories too because of the added sugar, I'm sure. So don't make the same mistake that I did. If you're cooking with canned pumpkin, just want to check the chat. Okay. So yeah, stick with the the 100% pure pumpkin. I'm going to use it anyway because I don't want to let it go to waste, but just something to be aware of. So pumpkins are also an efficient source of fiber. So fiber is the most famous for reducing constipation and keeping things moving throughout. In addition, eating a high fiber helps aid in satiety, which is kind of like our fullness feeling. You know, we use that term a lot of like what foods make you feel satiated. So foods with high fiber content are adding pumpkin to recipes and different things that you're cooking will make you, will increase your satiety level and make you feel a little bit more full because of the fiber content. And then it will also keep you full longer. And that can prevent overeating and potentially excessive weight gain. So 1 cup of pumpkin puree contains close to 7 grams of fiber, which is a pretty good amount. I will say, let's see, in a half a cup here, yeah, there's 3 grams of fiber in a half cup. So in 1 cup, we're gonna have about 6, which is pretty good. And very low in fat. So the total fat is 0.5 grams per serving. So that's true for most vegetables and obviously like plant-based vegetables and foods. Really low in calories, in fat, high in fiber. The carbohydrate is 10 grams per half cup, which is pretty common for starchier vegetables. So at OnPoint Nutrition, we would consider pumpkin to be a starch serving in a large quantity. So if you're gonna have like a cup of it, I would consider that to be 1 starch portion versus if you have this half cup, there's only 10 grams of carbs and there's 45 calories. So this is more like a vegetable. So if you're an OnPoint Nutrition client and you're wondering how to, if you incorporate pumpkin into any dish that you make, half a cup would be considered 1 vegetable. Does anybody have any questions so far? Let's see through the chat. I'm going to send the recipe again because I think maybe I didn't send to everybody. Somebody asked for OnPoint, does this recipe count out all for veggies or just starch? So because of the amount of pumpkin that we're using in the recipe, it's also mostly oats. There's a 1.5 cups of oats in the pumpkin energy bite recipe. So it is just going to be 1 starch. There's only half a cup of pumpkin in the whole recipe. And we're going to make at least 10 balls of our bites. If you were just having half a cup by itself, that would be a vegetable. But since we're having half a cup and then separating it into at least 10 portions, it doesn't really get us a full vegetable serving per serving, per bite. So that's why it'll just count as a starch because it is mostly oats. Pumpkin is kind of like an additive in this one. So that's a good question. Okay, cool. And I did just send the recipe again, just in case anybody missed it. Put that back. I do also already have my pumpkin measured out here. So typically when I open one of those big cans, I scoop out how much I need and then I put the rest in a Tupperware just so that it's ready for the rest of the week. If you've seen my webinars before, you know I love my glass containers. So this is already measured and ready to go. That's what I had left over from the weekend. So another thing too is don't throw away the pumpkin seeds. If you are carving pumpkins at home or have access to pumpkin seeds, because right now I think those are pretty popular too, they're packed in. So 1 ounce contains nearly the same amount of protein as 1 cup of soy or cow's milk. So it's a pretty effective way to get in plant-based protein. Seeds, you can enjoy them alone, or you can enjoy them in trail mixes, or kind of like put them on top of anything really. So I know a lot of people, after you carve a pumpkin or after they carve pumpkins, will roast the pumpkin seeds in the oven. So that's awesome. Somebody asked about, will this cause a sugar spike? So the recipe itself does contain agave, or it calls for maple syrup. I'm using agave just because that's the swap that I had at home, and dark chocolate chips. So there is a little bit of sugar contained in the recipe, but it does only count as 1 starch if you have 1 bite. So if you're kind of like worried about your sugar intake, I would definitely just like take that into consideration, that it does count as a starch serving and there is like that added sugar. So kind of like in moderation, be aware of like your starch intake. I'm waiting for any other questions that pop up. Okay, good. So I talked about kind of like really good benefits to pumpkin. You can, like I said, pumpkins are edible. So if you buy a pumpkin, you can kind of like roast it in the oven. It will take a little bit of time. I am kind of lazy in that sense and just like to buy the cans. Again, I showed you kind of like the good one to get when you go to the store, but it can be done. So you can, you know, roast a regular pumpkin or go for the pumpkin puree. So to reap all of the benefits of pumpkin, I just wanted to go over some ways that you can add it to each of your meals. So I'm going to show you a way that you can add it into a snack. Obviously, it really just counts toward like the flavor and the carbohydrate portion of that. But if you did want to use it as like a vegetable serving, you could pair it with yogurt. So you could do it with plain yogurt. If you want to do Greek yogurt, you can pair it with that to get, use it kind of like with a probiotic, which will flourish your good bacteria in the gut. Could also pair it with oatmeal. So that's something that I really love doing, is putting it with my overnight oats or my hot oatmeal, because it makes it, again, a little bit more dense and a little bit more filling, adds a vegetable serving into a breakfast if that's not normally something that you would have with breakfast. So because of the fiber content, if you add it in with oats, you have like so much, you know, nutrient dense fiber and whole grain in the breakfast if you do that. Smoothie. So one of my favorite smoothie recipes is pumpkin blended with banana in a smoothie. I like to throw in protein powder, a little bit more protein from my smoothie, and then peanut butter. This recipe contains peanut butter too. Pumpkin and peanut butter go really well together. So I always top mine with peanut butter, and then you could actually put the pumpkin seeds like on top or in the smoothie if you wanted. That would be a really good additive too. So I just want to check and see if we have any questions. Somebody asked, how much would you want to add to oatmeal or yogurt to count as a vegetable serving? So if you wanted to count the pumpkin as a vegetable serving, I would just add half up. So half a cup of pumpkin would be one vegetable serving. So if you missed this in the beginning, what I had mentioned was so I'm just reading from my label here, do like a little bit of label education. So total carbohydrates is 10, and this is in the half cup serving. You only have 45 calories. So for us to have a starch, OnPoint Nutrition, we count starch servings as 20 grams of carbs and 80 to 120 calories. So with this, we wouldn't count it as a starch, only because it only has 10 grams of carbs and 45 calories in the half cup serving. So half a cup would count as a vegetable. If you did a full cup, that would get you 20 grams of carbohydrates, which falls in line with that 15 to 20 range, which we would consider to be a starch. Because then you would also have 90 calories, which falls between 80 and 120. So to answer your question, we would want to add half a cup to the oatmeal or the yogurt for it to count as a vegetable. All right, let's see. So another thing too is like when we're adding it to lunch, it is something that you can add to a salad. So if you do kind of like bake it and dice it, that's something that you can add to a salad. You could just kind of like add the puree to a salad. Might be a little gooey, but I think adding it to a pasta dish is really great too, especially if it's like already something that's like orange, or like a lot of like clients will add it to their pasta like with their kids to try to like increase their veggie serving. So that's always something that you could do as well. Also too, we talked about adding it to a salad. You could whip up pumpkin hummus. So this is actually something that I did on Friday. We had some friends over, and I did I made homemade hummus. So I put chickpeas. I did make it a little bit more sweet. So it's kind of like the stuff that was in the recipe today, but I added in chocolate chips, chickpeas, peanut butter, and then pumpkin too, to kind of just make a little seasonal dish. So you could always add it to hummus as well. Like I said, pasta is a really good one, especially something that's cheesy, because that can be good for kids to get them, you know, an extra vegetable serving, and they won't even know that it's in there because it makes it so creamy if you just add in. It is relatively mild flavored. If you kind of just like, you know, took a little sampling of it, it doesn't really taste like much. So it's definitely a mild flavor that you won't notice. It's not going to ruin a dish if you add it to it. So another thing too is like topping your salad, or topping smoothies we talked about with pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin hummus can be like a great dip for veggies. I used cinnamon sugar pita chips with mine. They were great. Also could be like a really good spread for a salad. And then pumpkin chili is a great one too. Adding this into chili, so you can add in like, you know, a cup or half a cup to your chili, and then just give it like a little bit of that flavor. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Because I just want to show you the recipe next. Somebody said you can blend fat-free Cool Whip with cinnamon and pumpkin. Never done that before, but that would be awesome. Somebody asked, can you add pumpkin puree to chili or actual chunks? So you could do either. If you were going to do chunks, I would probably add them uncooked so that they would cook in the chili, just like if you were doing sweet potatoes or butternut squash. But I've added the puree to chili before. And then somebody asked what kind of snacks we can make with the pumpkin. We're going to make the bites today, so that's a snack that you could do. If you made a smoothie, that would be a snack. There are a ton of other pumpkin recipes on the portal, so I'm just highlighting the energy bites. We also have pumpkin chocolate chip banana bread, so it's really good to bake with because of that creaminess that it has. Pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, pumpkin muffins. There is a pumpkin overnight oatmeal recipe. There's a pumpkin spice latte. There's a coconutty trail mix. So we talked about adding the pumpkin seeds to trail mix. The trail mix recipe's on there. So I just stole this pumpkin energy bites one from the portal. It's really popular and really easy. Somebody, let's see, any other questions? Do we know if pumpkin relieves any symptoms? Not directly, no. We would say that it, like we said, it's high in fiber, which can be good for, you know, if you feel constipated, to kind of like help you move. So I would imagine that it can help with like constipation symptoms. But besides that, not sure anything really directly there. Also can decrease inflammation with, you know, since it's an antioxidant. I think in general, it just kind of like helps lower your risk for disease and can boost immunity. Okay, so I want to get started with the recipe. For the sake of time, I did just go through and measure everything out. So these are the perfect bite-sized snack that tastes like fall, packed with fiber, and then also unsaturated fat. That can be a healthy pick-me-up in the afternoon, especially if you're looking for something sweet. So the unsaturated fat is going to come from chia seeds. So I have my chia seeds measured out here. There's a 1/4 cup, so that's 4 tablespoons of chia seeds here. I'm just going to go ahead and just add it to the bowl as I'm talking about them. I already measured those out earlier, like I said. And then the other source of the unsaturated fat is the peanut butter. So I already measured this out. We have a half a cup of peanut butter. So I like to use the Crazy Richards peanut butter. I get the chunky or the crunchy. The only ingredient here is peanuts. So this is definitely what I would recommend for all you peanut butter lovers. Doesn't necessarily have to be this one. Just make sure that your peanut butter that you're eating doesn't have the added sugar. Like my boyfriend's favorite one. We are a 2 peanut butter household. The second ingredient in this is sugar. So this is a great example. This is just something that has added sugar. You know, it has added sodium too, because there's salt and then hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is actually code for saturated fat. So anytime you see that hydrogenated, we know that that's the bad fat. So that's added into this. And then that's kind of the same difference before as what we talked about. Like this just isn't as good nutritionally as the other one that doesn't have anything added into it. The pumpkin pie mix has sugar and salt added in. Trying to check and see any questions. Okay, so we're just going to keep going here. Alrighty, so I already measured out my peanut butter. I have half a cup. So that's why this recipe is 1 fat per serving, because of the peanut butter and because of the chia seeds. So I also just want to preface, I did wash my hands before doing this. So I am going to roll the bites and just trying to make sure everybody can see me. I'm going to move you. So I am going to roll the bites with my hands. So I'm using a large mixing bowl. Generally, I would probably use my KitchenAid for this just because I'm lazy and don't like to mix. But for the sake of noise, I thought it would just be better to just mix it by hand. We also have 1.5 cups of oats. So I'm just using old-fashioned oats. I typically just buy these in bulk because I use them so frequently. So I always have them on hand to add to recipes like this. So this is where our starch is coming from. Our carbohydrates are coming from the oats and then also a little bit from the pumpkin. So I'm just using a spatula up here. And then we have half a cup of pumpkin puree. I'm just gonna clean off my spatula. We have half a cup of pumpkin puree that I already measured out earlier, like I mentioned. Put my peanut butter away. So this is gonna help because right now it's a little bit dry. I'm just gonna add this in there. So the recipe calls for 10 bites. So we'll see how many we really get out of these. The last thing to add is the, like I said, it called for pure maple syrup. I'm actually going to use agave, which is pretty much an even swap. Anytime anything calls for pure maple syrup, or if it calls for agave, you could always switch it out with pure maple syrup. You could also swap that with honey. I'm not a fan of honey, and I just happen to have agave, so I'm just going to use that. But again, you can make this at home with maple syrup. The reason that we say pure maple syrup, again, this is a great example, teaching example of, we're also a 2 syrup household. So for some reason, he likes this one, which is, okay, everyone see, sugar-free. So this is a low-calorie syrup. When you look at the ingredients, it's water, sorbitol, cellulose gum, artificial flavors, caramel color, sodium, benzenate, and potassium sorbate, and the list just goes on of all of these kind of like ingredients that are artificial. One thing to look at is you can tell that sugar alk, which is sugar alcohols, come from artificial sweeteners. So this is like the example of doing like pancake syrup. Most pancake syrups are like this. And then that's why we say pure maple syrup, because when you look at the ingredients on pure maple syrup, that's it. It's just pure maple syrup from the tree. So I'll show you, like I said, I don't have it. I have agave, blue agave, ingredients, pure agave nectar. That's it, compared to all of the things that I listed there and didn't even finish saying on the other one. So this is obviously a better product. Oh, we have lots of questions. They're making it tonight. Okay, good rundown of the syrup and the peanut butter label difference. Okay, good. So this kind of, if you see, that's why we say pure maple syrup on there instead of just maple syrup or pancake syrup. I'm just showing you the difference. So this does have more calories. You know, in a tablespoon, there's 60 calories versus 5. But I would say that that's like doing like diet soda. It's calorie free, obviously. It doesn't count as anything, but what is it? It's just a bunch of chemicals, and it doesn't really give you any nutrition. I mean, this isn't really dense with nutrition either, but if we're using it as a sweetener, this is a better choice because it's an actual made from real food. Put that away. So back to what I was saying, I kind of got off on a tangent there about the sugar, but I already mixed my, I poured out my sugar and measured that, and I mixed it already with the vanilla extract. There's 2 tablespoons, pumpkin pie spice, and then also we're gonna add dark chocolate chips. But I did find pumpkin pie spice at the store. Sometimes it's hard to find. You can make your own. So pumpkin pie spice, one sec, let me grab it. So I got mine from Trader Joe's, but it's cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cloves, and cardamom. So if you can't find this at the store, it is something that you can make your own on your own. You just have to kind of like maybe do a search of how much to put in, you know, how much of each spice to put in. But if this isn't something that you can find, this is something that's a blend. So there's a teaspoon of that because it's really potent. And then dark chocolate chips we'll add at the end. So I already added the vanilla and the syrup here. Again, super easy to make, just taking me a little while because I keep talking. So you could also make these like without the pumpkin if you're not a huge pumpkin fan. You can also you can substitute the peanut butter if you wanted to do almond butter or something like that. All right, and then I just have my dark chocolate chips here, half a cup. Like I said, I already washed my hands. All right, so I just want to show everybody what this is like. Everybody see that? So this is what you want it to look like. You want it to kind of just look like it's scoopable and like malleable in your hands. So we're aiming for 10 here. You can actually, I like to store these in the fridge, so I'll probably do that. You could also freeze them if you're not like, you know, if you kind of want to save them for later. That's always something that you can do too. Sorry, I'm just going to turn off the volume for somebody there. Okay, just want to double check and see if we have any. Somebody said it looks like an awful lot of vanilla. So I had mixed the syrup and the vanilla already in this container before I added it to the recipe, so that wasn't all vanilla. Somebody mentioned that they get pumpkin pie spice from Sprouts. That's good. Quick oats instead of old fashioned, that's fine. No difference there. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just gonna like grab some and create a ball. They're good to go. You can kind of like eat them just like this. I kind of like to stick them in the fridge just so that they get a little hard. But yeah, that's it. They're good to go like this. Like I said, you could put them in the fridge or you could freeze them. So I'm probably just gonna keep mine on this plate and cover this. Does anybody have any questions as we go? Oh, do we put them in the oven to get them crispy? I've never put them in the oven. You could. You can, I know you can heat them up, Rachel. If you just kind of like want to nuke them for a sec, you know, a couple seconds, you can put them in the microwave. Yeah, so if you want them to be a little bit warm, you can do that. She said, can we send them? You can make this recipe yourself. I have faith in you. I know you can. So I used mini chips for this. So you can kind of see they're little small ones. They work perfectly in this. They're Enjoy Life dairy-free mini chips. Air fry them, somebody said. Wow. If somebody tries air frying them, please email me, because that would be amazing. They're probably really crispy on the outside and gooey on the, or like soft on the inside. Oh, that's awesome. Everybody loves your air fry comment. That's funny. Yeah, so again, they're not really sticking to my hands. Recipe calls for 10. I think I'm going to get more than 10 out of this, only because we do, in the directions, it does say to roll, scoop them. That's an exercise to just grab them and roll them. I think it's a little quicker. So if you want them to be a little bit bigger and count them as a starch and a fat for 10, you can do that. I think I might get 20. So I would say 2 would be a starch and a fat if you make them small, and you get 20. Yeah, I like the idea of the air fry. The frozen ones are pretty cool too. So if you put them in the freezer and kind of like save them, then if you kind of like defrost them, maybe like in the fridge for a little bit until you can bite into them, they're really nice cold. Could also add protein powder to these as well. Anybody have any other comments or questions sending through? So they look so nice on the plate here. So this is actually like a really great thing to bring to a party too. Somebody asked, what protein would we reckon? I personally use plant fusion protein. It's a plant-based protein. That I would probably do a vanilla, although they do have chocolate chips, so you could do a chocolate one. Yeah. You could, I mean, just because I use a plant-based one, I mean, you could use whey, but I would probably make it chocolate or vanilla. Somebody asked if I tried them with almond before. I haven't tried these specific ones with almond butter, but I do not see why you couldn't, and it actually would be really good. So you want to use my advice with the almond butter, the same as the peanut butter. You want to make sure that your almond butter is 100% just almonds, no other added ingredients. Well, thank you. Ronald said this was a fabulous video. Somebody said use walnuts. You could also use walnuts. Also, too, I would like to note that I use the chunky peanut butter, which oh, this is the problem though. If you get a hair in your eye, you can't wipe it. I use the chunky peanut butter, so there are like kind of like chunks of peanuts in this too, which is really nice. That's one of the benefits of using that in baking, is I always get like a little chunkiness, which I like. Oh, somebody mentioned rolling them in unsweetened coconut. So that's great, Vicki. That's a great thing to do. You're going to increase the fat a little bit there, but definitely add the flavor if you're a coconut person. This can help with your sweet tooth around all the Halloween candy too. All right, so like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I already have 15 balls. So, or bites. So multiple of these, if you make them into, smaller balls, would be a portion rather than one. Walnuts, almond butter, coconut. That's why these are really neat, like these kind of like bites or oatmeal bites, because you can really add these to, they're like a blank slate. You can add anything you want to them. So you can put them in the air fryer. You can add protein powder. You can use different fats. So you can use almond butter. You can use coconut. Like that we're using dark chocolate. You can do white chocolate. Around Christmas time, like you could do coconut. You could crush up candy canes and put like peppermint in there. I saw somebody say, "Ooh." I'm sure like a lot of people would like that too. And you can use like peppermint extract. I think I just thought of a new recipe. Yeah. So this is so easy. And actually it's like kind of therapeutic. It's like making meatballs. Somebody just said they just ordered a new air fryer from Amazon. The pumpkin bites inspired him. I am always going to promote the air fryer. Oh, this is great. So like I still have quite a bit of batter left. So yeah, this might need to be an edit that we make to this recipe because they're not tiny. They're actually a really good size, as you can kind of see. I don't know that I would really make them too much bigger. Yeah, candy canes. Anybody have any other questions or comments? This is pretty much all I have for you on pumpkin. I hope everybody makes this recipe. Send me an email and let me know if you air fried them or baked them or rolled them in coconut or used almond butter and how they came out. All right, so let me just show you. I'm kind of just sticking them on this platter. But look how pretty they look. Woo! Dropped one. So awesome to bring to a party or kind of like set out, you know, if you're having some or afternoon snack. If any of my hikers out there, this is great to bring with you like in a plastic baggie when you're hiking or on the go. You can even use these for breakfast. Baking them is not a bad idea. You can make like a nice little breakfast cookie. So this is being recorded on top of all of the other webinars that I've done. So this will live on your OnPoint Nutrition member portal. We're also going to send out a follow-up email with the recipe. The recipe is also on your database, and I send it into this chat. Please feel free to send me an email if anybody has any questions, or if you want to send me a picture that you made them, and I'll put them on my Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my OnPoint Nutrition handle is OnPoint Kate. So just go ahead and follow me and you can send me a picture if you make it. Also too, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to your nutritionist or dietitian with any, you know, counting discrepancies or anything like that. So look out for this on your member portal, and then I'll see you guys in a couple weeks talking about tips to a healthy holiday with all the holidays. So I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks.
When's the next meeting?
Oh, the next one's going to be on November 24th.